Hello, I'm going to walk you through an installation during the Stow Solar Challenge. This is a 9,000 watt system using 36 250 watt panels and 36 microinverters. The first thing that we're going to look at in this video is the basement wiring done on day one. Here you see a view of how the house's electrical system looked prior to the solar installation. All of the equipment that is going to be installed in the basement fits on that small open area of plywood to the left and below the smaller circuit breaker panel. Here Ben is installing a production meter and a sub panel underneath that. The sub panel has 3 input breakers. Those are fed by the 3 strings of microinverters on the roof. The output from that goes through another circuit breaker up into the production meter to measure total system production during its lifetime. Here Ben's installing a ground wire from the main panel. Next comes the installation of the Enphase hub, that's that white oval box underneath the sub panel, and an outlet to power it. The hub is used to communicate with the strings of microinverters and query them for their production data and upload it to the Enphase website where you can monitor it using the Enlighten application. I included this clip to show that you can indeed install solar electric systems in the middle of winter in New England. Here the crew is raking the roof prior to installing the brackets that will hold the rails down to the roof rafters. Okay, now the crew is getting ready to install the brackets that hold the mounting rails to the roof. These brackets are lag bolted into the rafters, and they're small aluminum L-shaped brackets. The mounting rails bolt onto these brackets, and then the solar panels bolt onto the mounting rails. Okay, it's day 3, and we're looking at a close-up to get a better view of the mounting rails getting installed. These mounting rails bolt to the brackets that we saw installed earlier, and these solar panels then bolt to these rails. Okay, it's day 4 and time to mount some inverters and solar panels. So the first thing they do is lay out the wiring. That harness connects to each one of the inverters. The cardboard box on the roof has 12 microinverters in it, ready to go. And now the inverters go up. They'll be positioned initially and then bolted down once the panels are up and everything's in place. Okay, now the panels are going up. First they position them, attach the output wires of the panels to the microinverter, get everything in position, and then bolt it all down. So there's 11 panels on this roof. The main portion of the house has 20, and then there are 5 more over the garage for a total of 36. Let's talk for a moment about inverters. Inverters take direct current, or DC, from the solar panels and convert it into alternating current, or AC, to match the power from the electric company. There are 2 types of inverters used in a solar electric system: string inverters and microinverters. With string inverters, the solar panels are wired together into long strings, and their combined electrical output is fed into a small number of inverters. A system of this size would likely use 2 string inverters. One downside of this type of wiring is that if one panel is in the shade, the entire string's output drops off. Microinverters are much smaller, with a single inverter dedicated to each panel. While slightly more expensive, microinverters allow the rest of the panels to continue to produce power if one is in shade. Microinverters were used in this installation to minimize the effect of shadows cast by the dormers and multiple roof levels of this house. Okay, this is an overview of the equipment installed in the basement for the solar electric system. I'll take you through a quick walkthrough of each piece and let you know what it's doing. First, we're going to start with this flexible metal conduit. This comes down from the attic. It contains 3 separate circuits. The microinverters on the roof are tied into 3 independent strings. That conduit feeds into the upper left corner of this sub-panel. Each one of those microinverter strings feeds its own 15 amp breaker that you can see on the right side and lower left of this panel. The combined output comes out through the 40 amp breaker on the upper left, feeds up into this solar production meter. This measures our total production of the system, and this is the meter you'd use to report your SREC production. So you can see we've produced about 37 kilowatt hours in the day and a half the system's been live. The output then comes out through this conduit, runs up out through the side of the house to an emergency AC disconnect switch, comes back through this conduit into this large junction box where that ties into the lines going out to the street. So this is our interconnection point to the grid. And then finally, down here, we're going to see the Enphase hub. This is the box that pulls the individual microinverters, gathers their production statistics, and reports them out through the internet for us to look at. So let me get in closer so you can see the production numbers. Hopefully you can make that out. So we're producing currently 6.38 kilowatts, 37.9 kilowatt hour total, and we have 36 inverters online. Right now it's kind of a partly cloudy day, so that production number on the left is going up and down as the clouds go by. So those statistics are gathered, and then they come through this orange Ethernet cable, which is plugged into my internet router, and the information gets uploaded to the Enphase website for you to view later. And then they also installed this outlet on the main electrical panel to power it. So that was another piece of the installation. So there you have it. That's the entire system in the basement. Everything else is either up on the roof. You've got the solar panels on the roof, or the AC shut off on the outside of the house, which we'll also get to see a picture of. So this is the display on the new bidirectional meter installed by Hudson Light and Power after the interconnection. It goes through 3 modes. This is the test mode where it just lights up all the display. Then it shows you number of kilowatt hours that they have delivered to the house, in this case 36. The number of kilowatt hours they've received from the array, in this case 19. And then this little arrow down here you see moving right to left indicates a net supply to the grid. Right now the array is producing about 8 kilowatts. When on a cloudy day or at night, this arrow will move left to right to indicate that we're pulling power from the grid. And here's what the house looks like with the finished system installed. As you can see, there's 11 panels on the left side, 20 on the main roof, and 5 over the garage. Thank you for watching, and thank you for your interest in the Stow Solar Challenge. You can go to www.sustainablestow.org to learn more about the Stow Solar Challenge and how you can take advantage of our group buy program to get great discounts on solar systems for your own home.